I started journaling when I was about 15. I actually remember I bought my first journal from Typo, and it was when my best friend from the time, she moved away to the Northern Territory, and I was so sad, and I was like, oh, I just need to process all these feelings, and I'm gonna journal about it. And so I got this pink Typo journal, and that was the first journal I fully filled. I am the kind of person who overthinks, and I kind of have a lot of different thoughts a lot of the time. And so journaling for me really helped to kind of structure those thoughts and kind of figure out what I was feeling and why I was feeling that way. And I found that when I would write things down and journal about them, my mind would stop thinking about them because I was like, okay, they're written down. And then from there I could kind of let my mind rest. This is my journal that has all my kind of spiritual based notes and with sermons and different things from Bible studies. One that I wrote here was about my perfectionism, which was something I really struggled with in year 12. I wrote ideals of perfection. Lately, I've been struggling with the idea of personality flaws. I'm such an imperfect person, but when people first meet me, I feel like they expect me to be perfect, and I get scared to disappoint them. I need to remind myself that perfectionism is unattainable and break free from such high expectations of myself. It makes me very self-deprecating. And then I wrote, I was not created for perfection. Jesus, the only perfect person, came to recover my shortcomings. There is beauty in chaos. And I have a little drawing of a wave going across. And I said, chaos creates room for God to work, calm, bring peace, and show his glory. I am a complete and utter mess, and I always will be. The goal isn't to reach the impossible perfection, but to become comfortable enough with your flaws that God's glory can shine through more powerfully. And then I wrote, this is kind of embarrassing, but I am a stress head, I am impatient at times, I am inconsiderate to others, I am prideful, I am self-righteous, I am sensitive, I am approval-seeking, and I am not worthy of God's grace, but he gave it to me anyway. In my stress, God shows his peace. In my impatience and inconsideration, God shows his kindness and selflessness. In my pride and self-righteousness, God shows his humility. In my sensitivity, God shows his strength. In my seeking of approval, God shows his love. So I too will boast about my flaws, for they show the strengths of God. And I think that just journaling that really helped to unpack this whole thing. And I think once you've written it down too, once you've actually written down truth, it really solidifies in your mind what you're writing, and it has more of a lasting effect, I think, in change and going towards what you want to go towards. This is my favourite page. It is my guarding your heart page with the little drawing. It was literally in English class. I think at the time I must have been reading Psalms or something, and there was a verse that said, guard your heart above all else, for everything else you do flows from it, something like that. In one of the English classes where we were working on these journals, I drew this heart, and around it I drew some bubble wrap, and then I drew all these tiny little stick figure soldiers lined up protecting this heart. And that drawing has stuck with me so much since then. I think it's a really beautiful metaphor and image for guarding your heart and protecting what's inside. This is another of the kind of drawing journal entries I did, which was kind of drawing, even though I'm awful at drawing, really helped to kind of figure things out in my head. And when I drew it as a picture or an analogy, I think it just sat better in my mind and I could understand what was going on more. And so this was at a time when I felt really distant from God. And then the image that came to me was me and God walking along this path, and then all of a sudden he was gone. It would show these little steps I'm taking, which are faith steps. And then in the end, God was there. And it kind of, to me, represented that sometimes God will hide so we can seek him and draw near to him and take steps of faith to see him more and grow in relationship with him. I think there are a few good things in here. Oh, I love this one. It says, love matters more than ... My fears, my bitterness, my insecurities, my what ifs, my buts. God is in control. He says love everybody always. So trust that you can do this freely in all circumstances. This one I wrote, how often do you unlawfully throw stones? Stones of judgment, stones of gossip, stones of dishonour. In this journal, I did kind of like guided journal prompts and responded to them. I think it's just a great way to prompt yourself to grow. I started journaling because I'm quite an overthinker and I often have very messy, chaotic thoughts in my head. And so when I'm able to journal about them, I think it kind of helps me to untangle everything I'm thinking, everything I'm feeling. And often in that, I find a resolution. Or if not a resolution, I find a sense of peace, because when my thoughts are just left in my head, they get so tangled and I kind of run through them like 1,000 times trying to process or figure out what's going on or understand my thoughts. But then when I put them onto paper, I can really see them for what they are. Everything that I write down, I feel like has helped me so much, and it's really fun looking back and seeing the kind of things that I was thinking when I was 15 compared to what I'm thinking now.